Hey Carson, how are you?
Good.
Good, buddy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure, pleasure. So I understand you're looking at maybe buying a house?
Yep.
Okay. Whereabouts you thinking? What part of town?
Scottsdale.
What do you like about Scottsdale?
My family lives there. My parents and my aunt and uncle.
That's cool. Nice. Whereabouts do they live?
McDowell Mountain.
Oh, McDowell Mountain's a great area. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that area. It's a great area. All right. If you live in the valley long,
Yeah.
what part of town do you live in right now?
Phoenix.
In Phoenix? Okay, cool. Nice. Well, if you have any questions kind of as we go through this, just let me know. But basically when we talk about the real estate market and how it's being affected by the conditions outside, we start talking about things like, supply, demand, pricing. Obviously, in 2005 and 6, real estate values were increasing at a huge level, right? And then in 2008, everything kind of came to a screeching halt. And a lot of people have, mixed feelings on if that's going to happen again. If so, when's it going to happen? Is it going to happen to my community, their community, whatever? So anyway, when we talk about supply and demand and price, what we're trying to determine is, what the future holds for us, right? And unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball, so we can't really tell all the time what that is. But have you ever heard of the comfort report? Does that mean anything to you? Have you ever heard that word?
No.
Okay, well basically the comfort report is a report that gives statistical data to the real estate industry, and a gentleman by the name of Michael Orr, who has a master's in mathematics, puts together all the statistical data for that report, and he gives us indications of what we think or what we project the future to be, right, in the real estate market. So when you talk about supply and demand, I like to show this chart because it represents the demand within our market. Now, this is all valley-wide, this is all of Phoenix, it's not necessarily just on Scottsdale, but it's everything within our MLS. You can see when we talk about demand, we're talking about the relation to the number of houses for sale in regards to the number of people buying houses, all right? So we sell about 8,000 to 9,000 houses a month within our MLS system, within Phoenix. You can see back here in 2014, see that number, 5.4? That's how many months of inventory were on the books at that time. Meaning, if you sold 8,000 houses a month, there was 40,000 houses for sale, right? Today, if you come over here adversely and look at this, 1.7, right? So what that means is we sell about 8,000 houses a month, but there's only about 15,000 houses on the market, right? So there's less than 2 months of inventory. So anytime you have a low inventory and a steady demand or an increasing demand, prices will go up, right? So the inventory is very low, which means there's a lot of people buying houses, but there's not a lot of houses for sale, okay? When we talk about, that document itself kind of talks about supply and how it relates to demand. If you start looking at various areas, we have it broken down by area, but Central Phoenix, Biltmore, Arcadia, South Valley, North Valley, East Valley. So we are in the Northeast Valley. So you can see what has happened to prices here. Look at how the prices have continued to increase over time. Now we're talking about price per square foot, which you can't really buy a house based on price per square foot, but this is an indication that consumers usually look at when they talk about, or how much am I going to pay for that house? You look at the square footage and talk about price, right? So anyway, so that's kind of that data. So you can see how price per square foot has increased over time. What's that tell you?
There's more houses being sold.
More houses being sold at what? A higher price, right? So that's very good. So let's look at price history. See how prices went way up here? That was that bubble. That was when the mortgage lenders were giving money out to pretty much anybody that could fog a mirror and had a heartbeat. And it caused real estate values to increase very quickly. And then in 2006 and 7 and 8, it bottomed out. It stayed there for about till 2011. And now look what has happened since. Since 2000 and late 2011, early 2012, prices have increased steadily. So what do we know from this type of data? We know that inventory is low, right? We know demand is high, and we know that prices are increasing. Now, if you look at the valley as a whole, you see how these are shaded different colors? The purpose of that is to demonstrate how badly these areas were impacted by that financial collapse, by that housing market collapse. You can see the areas in dark here, they dropped over 60% in value, okay? Now, you said you wanted to live in Scottsdale, right? And you want to live on, how far north do you want to go? Do you want to stay this side of Dynamite, or do you want to go north of Dynamite?
This side of Dynamite.
So you're talking about like DC Ranch,
Yeah.
Pinnacle Peak Estates, McDowell Mountain Ranch, those areas, right? Okay, so that is all between right about here and right about here, okay? The reason I wanted to show you that is, see how it's light gray? We only experienced a 30 to 40% decrease in value when that market crash occurred, okay? So that's good, meaning we held on to value longer. You don't know why? There's more wealthy people in this area. There's people who don't live here all year. There's people with money. So we weren't in the panic of having to sell houses where some of these lower income areas were in the panic of selling. So when you talk about Phoenix, you talk about areas like Arcadia. Arcadia has experienced about a 35% increase in value since 2013, 2014. So 35% over basically 3.5, 4 years, right? Arcadia's already gotten expensive. The area you're looking at, these areas here, are still priced relatively well. So we think there's still room for growth in here. So, you know, in my opinion, I don't think you can go wrong with anything like you're saying, south of Dynamite, north of maybe Frank Lloyd Wright and the 101, somewhere in that area. Anyway, is any of that or all that make sense?
Yes.
You understand it?
Yep.
What do you want to do? You want to buy a house?
Yep.
Let's do it. Nice. Thanks, Carson.
Yep.